As editor-in-chief of Package Design magazine, I speak with some of the most brilliant thought leaders in the design, branding, and marketing of consumer packaged goods. Through the generous support of our sponsors, we bring these experiences to you. This video series explores what inspires these thought leaders and their insights on the collaborative design process as a strategic business competence. I'm Linda Casey, and this is Package Design Matters. Today we are at the John B. Sanfilippo & Sons headquarters in Elgin, Illinois. JBSS owns the Fisher Nut brand, the Orchard Valley Harvest brand, and I'm speaking with Howard Brandeisky, who is Senior Vice President of Global Marketing and Customer Solutions, and Roseanne Christman, Director of Creative Services. Can you tell our audience a little bit more about how you leverage these consumer insights?
With Orchard Valley Harvest, we really wanted to stress the natural goodness of our product and the freshness. And using the imagery at the top versus the old black design, we really wanted to tell the story and educate, the consumers as far as our nuts are, they're grown in groves, they're grown from the trees, they come in the shell, and then out of the shell is what you're going to be purchasing in the product itself. So we used imagery to tell our story of the product.
We're very proud of that packaging.
Yeah.
We've gotten great response from both consumers and retailers. And it was a really dramatic change from where we were. This product, and this package, I should say, didn't really express what this brand was about, what was important to those consumers. The brand was very recessive.
The consumer world was once static. We then came to understand the role of a brand. In turn, the world has changed. With the foundation of observations, insights, strategy, collaboration, and extraordinary ideas, design serves as the conduit for a brand. Without design, what purposes do these efforts serve?
How do you reach those consumers? How do you go out and talk to consumers about, how they use their products, what they want to do?
So depending on various situations, that the research might be a little different. But I can tell you about some of the different things we've done. We certainly have done focus groups. We've done many focus groups where we go out and recruit the right audience of consumers that we want to talk to. We typically provide stimulus so that they have something to react to. And you do a series of focus groups so you can really get a sense of what they're thinking. Typically, a focus group, in my mind, is used to really help you, refine the questions in your mind. And very often, after a focus group, you might go to more quantitative research. The qualitative research, the focus group, informs the quantitative. And it's the quantitative that very often can give you the more definitive answer to the question you're asking. But besides focus groups, we've also done ethnographies, which is really, you do a shop along with consumers, and literally we'll have an outside partner as the researcher. One of us from the brand team will join the researcher, go out with the consumer, go shopping, engage with the consumer and ask questions, but it's more about observing even than asking the questions. But then we'll go to their home and have them take some of the products out of their pantry, both the nuts but everything else, so we can understand how the nuts fit into the larger snacking category, for example.
We live in a fast-changing digital world. Dynamic communication and social expression influence just about everything we do. Business is digital. Impact is instant. Brands and customers interact in amazing new ways. From postage stamps to packaging and billboards, HP's Graphic Solutions business is leading these transformations, creating innovative digital print technologies that enable more effective, engaging communication between brands and end users.
Definitely, the packaging says natural because of the leaves, the inclusion of the leaves. It seemed to increase the appetite appeal, and it probably appeals to maybe a slightly different audience than your typical nut consumer. Maybe someone who's maybe more on the go, maybe more snack oriented. How does the target market change for?
Well, yes, so that, first of all, that produce nut consumer we did find is a little bit different than that snack nut consumer. There is some overlap between the two categories, but as I mentioned, the produce nut consumer values the kind of the freshness, the authenticity, the wholesomeness of the product even more. They're less interested in some of the flavors, particularly if those flavors involve ingredients that they don't like the ingredient line. That's one thing. And then consumers in general are interested in convenience, and we've really helped build the Orchard Valley Harvest brand with some of our on-the-go packs. Right. So we have the single serve, actually I'll pick one of these up here. We have the single serve on-the-go packs, we call these minis, and these have been a great success for the reason you mentioned. Consumers are on the go these days. They want to be able to buy products like that and just put it in their purse or take it wherever they want to go. And for additional convenience, we have the multi-pack, where they can buy a whole bunch of them at a little bit more of a value. And the combination of the packaging configuration that really meets the needs of those on-the-go consumers, along with the product formulation that really addresses the consumer's needs for wholesomeness, that combination has been a fantastic success for Orchard Valley Harvest. We've been growing over double digits for a number of years now, so it's been one of the fastest growing nut brands in that produce section of the store.
Yeah, definitely. I can see that it's such a dramatic transformation, and I can also see how the new design not only does increase the appetite appeal and say natural and speak to people who are really looking for a natural snack that's on the go, but also it just it looks like it's maybe a matte finish pouch.
Yep.
So
we use the technique of a matte varnish to give it a more natural look and feel to the actual packaging itself. And we use the white to give, again, that simple goodness, pureness, instead of the black that was in the past.
yeah, it gives it that whole kind of matte white appeal that we think of, like with Apple products. We think matte white, we think kind of this high end without shouting it with like the black and gold. And it also is great for people taking selfies. So if they're out and they're enjoying Orchard Valley snacks, and they just happen to have a beautiful package in their hand, and maybe they're a style maker, and you can see what they're eating, and that's always a great way to take advantage of marketing to the new group of people who are socially connected. And everyone is everyone is socially connected. I say new group of people. Who isn't socially connected? Who doesn't have the internet in their pocket? We all do. How has marketing, branding, and design changed in this socially connected mobile world?
Well, yeah, it's a very different world we live in. Certainly, different than when I first started my marketing career so many years ago. And it all started, first of all, with the advent of the DVR, which is ubiquitous now. I mean, who the heck watches a commercial anymore? So that combined then with the explosion of the internet and digital media and social media, that is really where the action is in terms of connecting with consumers. And the old way of marketing, which is simply lecturing to consumers, I don't think works anymore. And all the marketers today, I think, are moving more toward engagement marketing by providing relevant content to their consumers. And that's what we've tried to do. We've really tried to focus our marketing more on developing content. Probably our best example of that is on our recipe nut business. So the recipe nut business, which is really the biggest part of the Fisher brand, and we call them recipe nuts, by the way. They used to call them baking nuts. It's, the biggest part of that category would be pecans and walnuts. And historically, people used those nuts for baking. Today, consumers don't just bake with nuts. They're putting those nuts on, salads in particular, but also hot and cold cereal, yogurt. It's a great topping that adds crunch and health and flavor and wonderful things. So people want to use nuts on everything. So we've renamed it the recipe category, not the baking nut category. And what we did in terms of marketing consumers, is we've really developed a lot of great content. Since they're using it on, all these different, on salads and other recipes, developing content that is very recipe focused was a great way for us to engage with our consumers. So the first thing we did was we've developed a partnership with the Food Network, and Alex Garnishelli, we joined with her as our celebrity spokesperson, and she helps bring a voice and a personality to the brand, and helps reach consumers that are interested in innovative, fresh twists on everyday recipes. Through the social media that she has, Twitter parties, Facebook, other things like that. We also develop vignettes that we air on the Food Network, and these are vignettes that are, simple recipe ideas. And in those recipe ideas, in those vignettes, we weave in the brand message. But it's a way for consumers to engage with Alex, engage with the brand, get something valuable to them.
Now, Roseanne, this presents you with a challenge and an opportunity, because now you have these spots and you have to, showcase the brand. But Howard was telling me that the previous packaging was lay flat.
What we decided to do is let's stand it up. Let's take the snack stand-up package and put it in the baking nut aisle and the recipe aisle. And that just put a face on Fisher recipe nuts right away in the baking aisle. It was very, very innovative, and just taking, existing pack style and decorating it with the Fisher recipe nuts was definitely benefits, our brand in that aisle.
And you had asked me about innovation before, and that's one of those very simple innovations.
Very simple.
Sometimes when people think of innovation, they think my saying around here used to be that, everyone thinks they have to reinvent the iPhone. Well, you're not going to reinvent the iPhone, and particularly not in the recipe nut category. So sometimes you have to just look for a simple innovation. And the key is it an innovation that either addresses a consumer problem or is a delighter? And in many ways, this packaging is a delighter. And what we found is that by putting the product in a stand-up resealable bag, there are certainly benefits to the consumers, and that's where we started. We knew our consumers really valued freshness. They really want their nuts to be fresh. And if you buy a 16-ounce bag of walnuts and pecans, you may not get through that whole bag in your first use. So being able to reseal the bag was just a great little delighter as a way for them to help keep their nuts fresh. But it also turned out, as we talked to them, putting it in a resealable bag, in a stand-up resealable bag, made it easier for consumers to find the pantry. What they said is, they would go into their pantry if they didn't use it.
Everything's laying down.
It's buried in the back. It's probably been band-aided together. They got a rubber band around it, and they can't find it. And so just being able to find it in the pantry more easily proved to be a real benefit. And then also being able to find it in the grocery store. They'd go to the grocery store, and if you remember, with all those lay-down bags, they can't find the walnut from the pecan or the 16-ounce bag, from the 8-ounce bag. It's all kind of, at first glance, seems all mixed together. So really a great little benefit there as well. And it turned out that retailers loved it as well, mainly because it made it a lot easier for them to merchandise the category to their consumers, made the shelf easier to shop, and if the product was put on display, also again more merchandisable and helped them grow the category. So really a win all around, a very simple idea that really drove a lot of category growth.
And this reclosable package and the stand-up pouch enables you to not only deliver all these great benefits to the consumer, but it also allows it to have a better presence, a bigger presence on your spots on the Food Network.
Absolutely. We can give it a very nice presence right there. As I mentioned, this is meant to be, we're trying to get our brand message to consumers as part of content that's valuable to them. So they're really interested in Alex's recipe, her food tip, when they're watching the vignette, but you certainly want them to see the brand and really connect all the brand benefits that are being talked about with our brand. So being able to show the product appropriately in those vignettes and other venues, the social media that you mentioned, very, very important. So it does great in that regard as well.
And it's wonderful. It's great to tout those benefits, and Alex does it as well. Oh, it's so easy to seal, and she seals it right there. Or it's so easy to just scoop your nuts right there. Just open the bag and scoop your nuts right out. And then when you're done, seal it up, put it in your pantry, and you can find it right away the next time.
And I should also mention, the benefits aren't just simply about the packaging. So that's one part of our product benefit, is obviously the resealable packaging and helping consumers keep the product fresh if they don't use it all in one sitting. But the other thing about our brand is that our Fisher recipe nuts have no preservatives. And for a while there, it turned out as we looked at the landscape, not every brand that was out in the marketplace could make that claim. Some brands have used various preservatives to keep their products fresh. We keep our product fresh by, we shell our pecans and walnuts ourselves. We pack it fresh. We purge the bag of any oxygen. Oxygen is what makes nuts go rancid, so we force the oxygen out and then seal the bag.
Yeah, and the flexible packaging, I imagine, helps out a lot with the raw nuts, being able, like, again, you said, to be able to squeeze out the oxygen, and that, because a flexible package will collapse upon itself. I also love how you thought about consumer insights when you talked about scooping.
Mm-hmm.
The package is wide, not tall.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Put your hand right in there.
Yeah, and that actually was very well thought out and explicitly thought out, because we thought about more narrow packages at one time, and as we thought about how consumers actually use the product, as we talk to consumers. Again, we try to stay very consumer focused, and sometimes the easiest thing is just go talk to them about how they use the product, or go watch them in their own kitchens, and you can see that having a wide opening is very important. Again, it's one of those things that I call a delighter. And in a commodity category like this, sometimes you're not going to find a big problem. If you just go ask consumers, what problems do they have with a particular category, they can't think of anything. But there are things you can do to delight them, and those things can differentiate you from the competition and build your brand.
Are the recipes printed on the back?
Yes,
Yes.
we have recipes on the back, and actually right now we're going through a redesign of our Fisher recipe, and we're going to be making those recipes even nicer. But we're moving toward having what we consider to be iconic recipes on the back of our package. So if you buy a 16-ounce bag of pecans, what I think consumers would look to see is the recipe for pecan pie, and that's what we're going to make sure we have on there, along with a beautiful shot of pecan pie.
And it's interesting with this project because it's holistic product and package design at the same time. And Roseanne, with all your design experience, you should have some great insights as to what are the challenges and opportunities that are facing designers today.
Step back as a designer and don't rush into designing something you want to try, or try a technique. Really understand your brand and its equity so that you can truly answer those needs of the consumers, whether it be for freshness or pure and simple convenience. And just really understand them and your brand.
Yeah, and that approach has really changed the way that the design team here at Fisher, under your leadership, have approached their jobs, their role in the company, and how they see it.
We really, like Howard always says, don't start anything until you have that creative brief, so that you truly understand your objectives, the strategies, and what the brand needs to be saying. So we'll take that creative brief to heart, and really want that so that we're answering the needs of the project and the needs of the brand as well.
Yeah, definitely looking at package design as a strategic competence versus a tactical exercise just to get done.
Correct. It's really, it's a wonderful thing, the opportunity. When you say opportunity, it's wonderful to give life to your brand. Really take it to heart, give it life, give it a refresh look, that like we've recently done with our Fisher snack. And it's very rewarding.
Yeah, and the Fisher snack is very different as far as the look. We see some of that white coming in here too, as far as from the Orchard Valley.
Back, I guess this was about 5-6 years ago, and we had this design for quite some time. And we went and talked to consumers, and we found that this packaging design was a little bit dated. So the first thing we did is the first redesign we did is we put the product in a see-through, clear can. The cans up to this point in the industry were all canisters made of largely out of cardboard. And the problem was you couldn't see the nuts. And as we talked to consumers, we found that consumers really love to see the freshness of the nuts. And so we came up with this idea of a clear can, lets them see the great quality of the product, and we used that as the opportunity to redesign the label. And this approach was far more contemporary, almost sophisticated is what some consumers said. And the combination of being able to see the product as well as the new graphics really helped consumers think about the brand in a different way. But then we've now moved to the stand-up resealable bag, as well as these new square PETs. And to your point, we've incorporated more white into the packaging. So we still want to keep the iconic red, what we call the shield. The red is what the brand is about. It's a key, visual cue for consumers. But the white helps make the brand a little bit more contemporary, make it seem a little bit more fresh. It also, I think, creates a real nice backdrop for this cascade or waterfall of nuts, which we thought would add some energy, some excitement to the package. Yeah. Yeah, and the category is a fun category, and even this version, though we like this, we thought that this may be, and there were certain constraints with this packaging because it's so small. There were constraints in terms of what we could do, but we thought that it felt a little bit almost too serious, and we really liked moving. We
wanted to have a little fun.
Exactly.
Fun in the
It's a fun category. We're a fun brand.
Yeah, it is.
And and this is all just getting out to the marketplace now, and we think it's really going to do wonders for the brand.
Yeah, and it's a good example of keeping your core brand equities and things that are important,
Correct.
but still updating.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Everyone is rushing through the shopping aisle. They're trying to fit it into their day with everything else, and being able to grab the right types of nuts for the ones that are your favorite. Or people like me, I'm allergic to pistachios and cashews, but I'll eat almonds until the cows come home.
And with Not Exactly, we took it just took that fun a little bit more, not so serious, really have that animation with, using, the action of popcorn and, jumping out at you and having the heroes of the product and having the components. People aren't going to be familiar, the consumer's not going to be familiar yet with what's Not Exactly or what are these snack bites. So let's show them the imagery of the snack bite, but also let's show them the components of what's inside as well. You've got you've got your dark chocolate, your almonds, and your blueberry to make this delicious snack bite.
Yeah, helping deconstruct that is so important. And definitely getting the appetite peeled, but also the whole idea of nutrition, too. People are looking at different types of nuts and fruits for nutrition.
Exactly, and using the popcorn is very healthy as well.
Yeah, and what we've done is really combined a couple of key things that people love. So people love nuts and they feel great about eating them. They love popcorn and they feel great about eating popcorn. So we brought them together, and it turned out they like both those things even better if we dip it in something just a little indulgent.
Indulgent.
We started with the dark chocolate and the milk chocolate, but we also found that consumers like caramel and peanut butter. So we created a line of 4 products for the grocery retail business that are these nut and popcorn based snacks dipped in something just a little indulgent. And we wanted it to be part of the Fisher snack brand. It was another way for us to bring innovation to the brand, innovation to the category, and make the brand even more contemporary. But it felt like this was different enough, both for the brand as well as for the category, that it needed its own name, its own subline.
What are the top 3 challenges you're seeing that marketing professionals facing?
Well, probably the first one I think is just the what I'll call the clutter out there. If you think about it, the average consumer, the average person, they're just bombarded with messages. So you mentioned we're all on social media. We all have our cell phones. Those cell phones are constantly buzzing and pinging, right? And so consumers are just getting bombarded with all these messages, and not just on social media, but even some of the traditional media. So just breaking through that clutter, I think, can be a challenge for a marketer. Differentiation is another key challenge that I think we face, particularly in the food category, where a lot of these categories, they are commodity based. So we want to give consumers, they love nuts, so you can't change it that much, but you still want to be differentiated. So finding differentiation that that adds value to the brand, that provides value to the consumer is always a challenge. And then finally, I'd say, there's the dramatic segmentation and fragmentation among consumers. So in the old days when I started marketing, it's a bit of an overstatement to say that consumers were a monolithic, massive group. But you could do more mass marketing, and there are a lot of products that would appeal to just a wide span of consumers. In this day and age, we have a lot more consumer segments and fragments, and that provides opportunities opportunity as well. If we can, the smaller the group, the more you can gain a meaningful insight into their needs, and the more you might be able to, identify a innovation or new product benefit that'll help you grow your brand.
And so now there's an opportunity with all these different kinds of communications to bring out new products and new segmentation. So it's an exciting time to develop new products.
It very much is, and it can be used both to develop new products, but also refresh old products, if you think about it. So for us, the new product in many ways was Orchard Valley Harvest, though, again, we bought that brand, but really we reinvented it, we relaunched it, and we identified consumer trends that we could tap into and reinvent what that brand was all about, and that's driving growth. And Not Exactly is a new brand that brings a whole new snack treat to consumers. But then the Fisher brand is a brand that's been around for over 90 years. And again, a great brand, great heritage that consumers loved and still love, but it needed a refresh as well. And by bringing some simple brand benefits, new brand communication, to both the recipe part of the business as well as the snack part of the business, we've been able to drive growth on that part of the business as well.
Is there one project that you are the most proud of?
I would say Orchard Valley Harvest is one to be very proud of because, it was an existing brand, but what we've done to reinvent it and to give convenience and, beauty to, the produce, aisle, it's been very rewarding. And the shared growth numbers really show that.
But with the Fisher recipe business, Fisher recipe nut business, that's the biggest part of our business. And, the complete reinvention of that brand, first with the stand-up resealable packaging that we talked about later, and the simple benefits and delights that we brought to consumers by doing that, as well as the benefits we brought to retailers. Then, secondly, the communication of our no preservatives benefit. And by the way, we're also going to be talking about we're now going to be non-GMO verified on Fisher recipe nuts as well. But the result has been that we have had unbelievable share growth. You dialed the clock back about almost 5 years ago, we were about 30 share points behind the brand leader. And in the second half of 2015, we took over share leadership of the recipe nut category. So we closed a 30-point share gap. So that is something I'm enormously proud of. And in the end, I love all of it, and I love all the great work we're doing. But in the end, it's about results.
Do you have any tips for growing a strong design organization?
We get business results, and I think that's all part of creating a great team as well, because people want to be part of a winning organization or a winning team. And I think the way Roseanne's leading the department, it's resulting in a lot of victories on the board, and I think that really results in a great team.
How do you break out the ROI for the different parts of the marketing campaigns?
Well, we don't. Not the different parts. We look at it in total. So, the first thing, we do certain elements we will test, though you don't really get all the way to an ROI. But for example, when we were doing the Fisher snack redesign, you think about the process there. We came up with the creative brief. The agency came up with a wide range of options. We provided our input to get it to a point where we felt we had enough breadth of range, as well as all designs that were all on strategy. And then we did a little bit of qualitative and quantitative research to make sure that we were communicating to consumers what we thought we were communicating. So that wasn't really an ROI, but we did the homework to make sure that what we were doing was right and was going to work.
And always comparing it to the existing design
a control,
as well.
right.
A control.
Yeah. But then really in terms of an ROI, what we're looking at is all of it together. All the pieces of the marketing puzzle need to fit together and work. It really needs to be an integrated marketing plan. Design is a tremendously important part of that, but success comes from making all the pieces work together. If you've done great design work, but other elements of the marketing mix are off, you're not going to get success. That doesn't mean the design was bad. You really need to look at it all together.
We often hear that it's difficult to, continue to invest in design versus, say, television advertising or something like that, because it's hard to find that ROI. But a successful marketing manager will kind of look at that and understand and respect the value of design in that integrated marketing campaign. And if you respect the value of design in that, you can instead of trying to compare and contrast, you're actually looking at ways to kind of use that to use an old word, the synergistic opportunities of, so you look for those synergies where you can actually take, instead of teasing it out, actually multiply those effects. And you did that with the Fisher Naturals campaign, obviously, because that was a double-digit market share difference after you guys launched that program.
You know, there are 4 P's to marketing, and I think too many people just think of marketing as the promotional piece, but you know, there are other elements, and the first P is really the product. That includes the packaging and all the design work that goes into that. And for anyone who doesn't think that you know, design and getting the packaging right is important, well, you know, you got to remember, and I said this earlier, I think we get more impressions from our packaging than from any other market communication we do. And you make that impression at that critical moment of truth when the consumer has to make their purchase decision. And if you, again, you go back to this, you know, Orchard Valley Harvest package, if you see, you know, going from here to here, you can see the difference in what design can make, what packaging can make, and communicating what the brand is all about. If we were still on the shelf with the black packaging, I don't believe we'd be having the success we have today.